Hey, I want us to get started here with this application, this game, Snake Game application that I want to walk you through it. There's parts where I would like you to maybe try to problem solve and do on your own, but if anything, I want to just help you develop a complete application here, an actual game. Note it that the game itself is not going to be, I mean, as appealing as modern games, but it is a game nonetheless, and you're coding it, so that's a good thing. We're going to be using Pygame, which we've used in the past. I do want to refer you to Pygame Documentation because, after all, this is where if you have some questions about how to do something, that you're likely to find them here. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get used to reading the document. But if you Google Pygame Documentation PDF and you click on Pygame Documentation, I believe it said 101, you can download this onto your computer. Just put it under Documents, Pygame 192 if you want to call it, save it. And that way you have it there. You don't always have to be looking at it, looking for it. And also, if you do have Adobe to read these, to open these PDFs, I believe there's going to be like a table of contents there, and it's easier to navigate the files. So I'll look it up right here. There it is. Notice right here, these bookmarks help you navigate the file a lot better. Let's go to Wing, and let's first. We're going to actually take a slightly different approach, only because it is easier to code this way. I'll try to do my best to explain how this is working. Where before we defined the main method and we wrote all our code in the main method and we executed the main method, now we're going to take a slightly different approach, okay? I want to introduce to you classes. Snake, for example, is what I'm going to call this class. There's a class is a place where you can put more than one method in it that are kind of associated together. And so in this case, in this class, which I'm calling Snake, I'm going to put all the methods that I need, and I'm calling them methods, but functions. I'm going to put all the functions that I need to basically get the game going. So I'm going to define the main function first inside of the Snake class. So notice that we have a class called the Snake. I could give it any name, and within I'm going to define the main function. And then in the main function, well, the first thing I want to do is to open up a window. So the way we open up a window is we use the command to open up a window. Again, you can look at the documentation to help you a little bit. It is under pygame.display. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. So obviously there's a lot here that you can read, but let me just point you here. Creating a new one with Pygame can only have a single display active at a time. So meaning you can only have one display, one window. Creating a new one with pygame.display.set mode will close the previous display. So this is the command, pygame.display.set mode. And so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to write the command pygame.display.set mode underscore. And this is not going to work unless I import Pygame first. And also, I want to run the main method. So there's two ways that I can do this. One is to do what we've been doing in the past, which is to right here main. But again, I'm going to take a different approach here. I need you to be not indented, so all the way here. And what we're going to do here at the very end on line 10 is I'm going to create a snake object. And I can do that like this. So S is equal to snake. Notice the sets of parentheses. I'll talk about those a little later down the road. and then I'm going to do s dot main like that. Now this should open a display, but I want to then close the display. And so I'm going to delay for, I don't know, 2 seconds. And if I go to the documentation, that is under the time, pygame.time. Let me look, there it is, pygame.time. And wait, here, delay. Pygame.time.delay, and it says pause the program for an amount of time, and then within and delay there's a argument here, milliseconds, which means you need to specify how much time. And so I'm going to come in here. I'm not going to look at the difference between wait and delay. You can read those if you want, but after I create my window, I'm going to do pygame.time.delay, and I'll delay for 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds, and then I'm going to quit. Now, to specify the size of the window, we can create a variable called width, which will be 400, and height, which will be 700. And within the set mode command in square brackets, we can specify the width and the height of the window. And at this point, this should show me a window. So I'm going to run it and just see that this is working fine. I'm going to go in here to, I have this under Python tutorials. Right here. And this is a Pygame. So I'll call this snake. Main. Okay. So we get an error. Let me look at what the error is telling me. Okay. I guess let me then, at this point, mention what changes now that we are working with the class. Notice that this is a class, and now we define the main function inside the class. And when we have a function inside a class, we usually call it a method. So I'm going to start referring to these as methods. What happens when you have a method inside a class is that you need to include a parameter here all the time, which we're going to call self. But we need that. Python needs that. We're going to see how we use this a little later down the road. But for now, just feel comfortable with the fact that you need it. It needs to be there. So let me run it one more time. And notice how we got our window here. But it looked odd. It looked like its height is... Oh, okay. I think I want this backwards. I want the width to be 700 and the height to be 400. They're much better. Okay, so we have the window. That's great. We can delay this. We can set the mode. Actually, if you want to fill the window a different color, we would come in here and we'd say when equals this, and then we can fill the window when dot fill. We've used these commands before. Again, you can refer to the documentation. That should be, that's a good question. Where would that fill be? Draw events, camera, pygame.key. Okay, Pygame, under Pygame. Init, quit, get error, set error. No, this is definitely not it. I think maybe under display we can fill a display. Init, quit, get, flip, update. Okay, well we're gonna need this one in a minute. I don't see it, okay, but we want to fill the window a specific color. So recall that these are denoted by 3 values, one for red. So at most we can have 255 red, green, 255 blue, RGB. So that's the most we can have in each one of these colors, and we can go down to 0. And then after we fill the window, we want to update our display. And so that was pygame.display.update. Now 255 is white. All 255s is white. 0, 0, and 0 is black. Okay, good. And then if you, again, we can remind ourselves that there is this very neat website, htmlcolorcodes.com, where you can pick a color, really. I mean, you decide what color you want for your window. Let's say you want a dark blue. So that would be 628 and 252. So I'll come in here 628 and 252. I'll run this. Notice now my window is blue. So that looks good. If you don't include this update command, then we won't see the color. Yeah, we just won't see it. Anytime you fill the window a certain color, or maybe you draw something on your window, then you want to update your screen. So I'll undo that. And so now we have a window. That's great. We're going to take then a minute to look at how we can draw a small square, because when we work with the snake is going to be a square. Could we make it a circle? Yeah, possibly, but for now we're going to make it a square, and then later down the road, if necessary, we can maybe change it, or if we want, we can maybe look at how we can make it a circle. So again, we go into the documentation, and we're going to go here to pygame.draw. Well, there's a rectangle first, pygame.rect, which is short for rectangle, right here. And I'll talk a little bit about what's in here. I think the biggest takeaway from this is this right here: left, top, width, and height. The way a rectangle works is you specify the coordinates of the top left corner of the rectangle and how big you want the rectangle to be, and width and in height. So let's say that I wanted a rectangle, and maybe I can do this better if I just bring this up here. This was from the previous. So I'll just call it here Pygame rectangle. And let me just change this to that. Okay. Let me just draw it to actually give you a visual instead of just describing what we're doing. When you draw a rectangle in Pygame, or with Pygame, let's say that you have your window. This is a sketch, meaning it's not going to be perfect. And you want to draw a rectangle right here. And let's say that every little square is 10 pixels. I'm just saying, okay? 10 pixels. And we know our frame of reference is such that this is 0, 0. And up right here we go 700 units to the right, 0 units down. And then to get down to this corner, we go 0 units to the right, 400 units down. Notice that it's positive, and then this is 700 to the right, 400 down. And so how do you draw a rectangle like the orange one that I have here? You need to specify the coordinates of the top left point, which would be 10, 20, and then 10, 20 down. And so a rectangle, when you create a rectangle, we're using Pygame, we need to specify the X and Y coordinate of the top left corner, so 20, 20, and then the width and the height. Well, in this case, the width is 10 pixels and the height is 10 pixels. So that's how you specify a rectangle in Pygame. Let me connect this back really quick. There we go. So let's go back to Wing. As a matter of fact, let me just take a minute here. Okay, so now that we know what a rectangle looks like, I'm trying to test all this out first. Okay, I'm gonna create a rectangle, which I'll call rect, and it will have the dimension, the X and Y coordinates. I'll put 20, 20, and then the width and the height of the rectangle. And then if we want to just kind of reference the documentation for the draw, pygame.draw, we can draw rectangles. notice that it's actually the first one right here. So it says pygame.draw rectangle, and then it kind of gives us an idea of what arguments we need. We need to specify the surface, in this case, the window on which we want to draw it, the color. We want to then give it the rectangle, which would basically be the dimensions that I just talked about. And then the width, 0, I believe we'll make it all shaded in. So I'll come in here, I'll write pygame. I'll do this before the update command, because the update command updates your window. So you draw something on it, you want to update to see it. Pygame.draw.rect. And again, we need to specify where. Well, on the window. The color. So I'm just going to make it white. Remember, 0, 0, 0 is white. And then I'll draw the rectangle under. And then I'll make it a solid rectangle. And I'm going to try this out. Oh, I was wrong. 0, 0 is black, right? All 0, 0s are black. But it was there. Let me actually change this to white so that the contrast is much better and we can see it. I'll run it one more time. There, notice. Now, if I change here the 20 and the 20, that moves the square, the rectangle. It's a square, I guess, technically right now. So if I change this to, I don't know, the width is 700. So if I put a 500 to the right, and then maybe 200 down, and then if I make the rectangle, the square a little bigger, 20 by 20, 20 pixels by 20 pixels, we'll see the rectangle now 500 units to the right, 200 units down, so that's halfway down, and then the width and the height of 20 and 20. So notice now it's over here. And so this is how we draw rectangles, which is, again, convenient because our goal is to basically try to simulate a snake. And every time that a snake eats an apple, it will grow in size, and you will add another square and another square to its body. Okay, so we have something here that works. Hopefully we're comfortable with some of this terminology. I would actually take this and change a few things. For example, I would make a variable called screen color, and I would make that, I would basically take that and paste it there, and then I would fill that to the screen color. Now, the reason is because at some point we're going to have all our variables like at the very tops where we can actually see them really quick, and if we want to change the screen color, we can actually clearly identify it and do it right away. I'm also going to do the same for the rectangle, and actually instead of rect, I'm going to call it snake, because it will be a snake. And then I'll put here snake color equals, and again I'll take this, I'll cut it here, and we then will put here pygame.draw.rect on the window, the snake color, and the snake. Alrighty, perfect. Okay, so now we have this going. In the next tutorial videos, I'll talk a little bit more about the format that we're going to be using here with the class. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to get it going first and then kind of try to organize this just a little better.